as we are exploring how to manifest in all areas of our life together. Because most of us get into a little trap when we become manifestors, that we start to focus on one very specific arena, and then we might actually neglect some other parts. So some of us get really heavily into, I'm a money manifesto, I'm a manifesto of my perfect career. And then we go a few years down the road and we realize that perhaps our relationships were suffering, or that we gave up our health in order to manifest our career goals. And that's something that I take very seriously in my manifestations, that I'm making sure that there is a nice balance between my health and well-being, my financial health, my relationships, my career development, and then ultimately the lifestyle that I get to live. And that's what I would like to offer to you today. And usually what happens is I take my cue from the community. And so I was asked to specifically talk about this topic. And I'm very happy about that. So thank you so much for making that suggestion. And I'm super happy to share what I know about the idea of a balanced manifestation and how we're manifesting in the first place. So we're going to go very back to the basics of the law of attraction and quantum NLP, because it is all about your thought patterns. It is what you're thinking in your mind that then creates the feeling state that you're going to experience, which then makes the actions happen that you're taking, which then ultimately creates the results that you're experiencing in your life. And what we need to understand about thinking, it's not just the words that are going around in your mind that matter. It's also the pictures that you're making in your mind's eye. It is also the the physical sensations that you're feeling in your body in that moment. It's even what you're smelling and tasting in your mind or in real life that will affect your thinking process. So, for example, I love essential oils. I have them sitting right here on my desk. And throughout the day, I will just dab my wrist, or I put some on my neck, and I just have some lemon or orange, or sometimes I go into musk and rose and sandalwood or frankincense. So it's whatever mood I want to create. If I feel very spiritual, I will go more into those arenas. And then I also light a lot of candles. I have my favorite candle scents that I light, for example, when I meditate, or I go to certain meetings and gatherings and I like to turn on a candle for those. So the olfactory sense is actually quite important for our thinking process. And usually in communication, especially in the business community, we do not talk about olfactory and gustatory so much. We are concentrating mainly on what do you see, what do you hear, and what do you feel in your body? What are your body sensations? And that is all about breathing. It's about the physiology that you're holding your body in. It's about the smile that you're putting on your face. It's the gestures that you're using, tiny gestures, big gestures. And then it's also very much about what goes on in your head on the level of the words that you're saying to yourself and the quality of the words that you're saying to yourself. Are you talking to yourself about your goals and it's really bored? Yeah, that's what I'm doing, kind of voice tone. I don't really care what's going on, but that's what I'm doing. Or are you really excited and chipper when you're talking to yourself about those goals that you're getting to do today and the tasks that you got in your to-do list for today? And that's the kind of stuff that I've been studying for a very, very long time. And it's really hilarious when I do catch myself like, oh, I have this bored voice tone, and oh, I get to do this, or I have to do this, or I should do that. That's why, this is the danger. This is when you are spiraling downward in your emotions because you're not really excited about it. Come on, girlfriend, pick up that voice, get into that chipper voice tone. Hey, I have this amazing to do list today. And that's the kind of stuff that we pay a lot of attention to in quantum NLP, that we are really managing that output as well as what's going on in our internal dialogue, and making sure that it matches the emotion that we want to create. If I want to be in a high vibration, in a frequency of happiness and anticipation and excitement and joy and bliss and gratitude, you hear it in my voice. I'm not saying and gratitude. There needs to be a match between how I'm saying it to myself and what I want to create. And so it's that energetic output that we're putting out there that is being supported by the voice tone that we're using, by the speed, by the pitch, by the energy that we're putting behind our words. And then the other thing is the pictures that we're making. We want to make sure that the pictures that we're having in our internal mind, and you're doing it all the time, by the way, you're just most likely not aware of it all the time, that you're constantly making pictures in your mind. I'm talking about the first house that I ever lived in. Bam, there's a picture of that first house. And I might see some photographs that I have looked at many times in my life. Those might be times of me driving by there now when I happen to be in my hometown and I see it. It might be just the address flashing in front of my mind's eye. Now I'm thinking about the very first house I lived in America. I'm thinking about the first house that I ever stepped foot in to when I first visited Sean and his family in 1988. I can remember the very first car I ever sat in America because there are these internal movies and snapshots that we have when we think of our memories. Think of your very first car. Think of your very first love. Think of your very first job that you ever had. And what was the kind of clothing that you were wearing? Were you wearing a uniform or was there a special dress code? I remember working at the first bank that I ever worked at in America when I first came here. And I got that job, and we had a very specific dress code that we had to adhere to. Totally remember that, how I used to dress, the kind of clothing I had at that time, the kind of shoes I was wearing, the kind of hairstyle I was doing, the kind of makeup I was wearing. I actually had burgundy red hair at that point. It was about that long. That's hilarious. And I had green glasses to fit it. Hilarious. We are constantly making pictures in our mind. As soon as you're listening to someone else talking, as soon as you're watching a movie, as soon as you're being exposed to any kind of information, you're having internal pictures going on through your mind that are now making sense of what you're being exposed to. And then you're sorting it, you're filing it, and you're making it retrievable again when you need it. Hey, what was the first house that you lived in? What was the first job that you ever had? And you're going, oh, yeah, that's right. That's what I did. So it's the quality of these pictures because they can be dim and dark and dingy, or they can be wonderful, vibrant movies that are just really standing out and they're like a Dr. Seuss video, or they're like Willy Wonka and really colorful and vibrant. Or are they more muted and pastelish? Are they slow motion? Are they perhaps even black and white? Some people actually think in black and white. And then that might reflect in their mood. It might reflect in their output because black and white is not nearly as much fun as a Willy Wonka. At least in my perception, I like vibrant and very colorful images that I'm exposing myself to. And that's how my dreams are. They're usually very vibrant. I love when I have house dreams because my house dreams are always about I'm getting into some kind of environment, I'm entering some kind of a building, and then it opens up and it becomes this crazy palace and some kind of a environment that is extremely enticing, and there are gorgeous plants and art. And it's always the same thing that I'm actually conscious in my dream going, wow, here I am again in a fantastic house. I remember having ship dreams. I'm being on tremendous cruise ships and I have these fantastic buffets that I have access to. And I remember that when I was pregnant, I had some very interesting buffet dreams, and it was just so vibrant, the food and the quality of it and all of it. It's just so deeply ingrained in my memory at this point. So that's what I would like for you to start paying attention to. What is the quality of your thoughts? How vibrant are your thoughts? How life giving, how energizing are they? Are you in the drab mode? And that means that probably you're using a drab voice and you're also making drab movies. So you are in charge of changing that. And as soon as you find yourself being in an emotional state that doesn't work for you, you need to start changing your thinking. If you are in a mood that you don't like, it's because of the thoughts that you're putting out there. It's the stuff that you're saying to yourself in your mind. Ugh, it's another day. That's how I used to start my day. Ugh, I didn't get enough sleep. I would wake up, I look at my clock and go, oh, it was another 3 hour night. Oh, I'm just hating this. And those of you who have known me for a long time know that I've really fought with insomnia for many, many years. And it took me quite some time to finally get my brain and my chemistry, my hormonal household into a way that last night again, 7.5 hours. Yay, it was fabulous. And then I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I was totally rested. And I opened my eyes, I looked at the clock, I'm like, 5 o'clock. I'm like, well, 7.5 hours. Yep, I had enough sleep. And then I meditated. And then I put on some beautiful music, and then I started journaling and listened to some videos with some courses that I'm currently taking. And it was awesome. And I remember sitting there and I just said to myself over and over again, I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm so thankful for everything that's happening in my life right now. Wow. And that is a little different than how it used to be when I would wake up. I only had 3 hours of sleep or 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Dang it, another night, not enough sleep. Those were my thoughts. And then that would emotionally spiral me down into feeling sorry for myself, being hopeless, and not having as good of a day as I'm able to have now. So pay attention to the things that you're saying to yourself on a consistent basis. I love what Earl Nightingale said. We manifest what we think about most of the time. You're not manifesting every thought. You're manifesting what you're habitually thinking about. And that actually is a nice little safe way, because you're not manifesting the things that you're really terrified of as long as you only think about them ever so often. If you find yourself really thinking about them a lot, you definitely want to start changing your thoughts. And then start programming yourself with things like, I understand that I'm having fearful thoughts, and I know that my positive thoughts are much more powerful. I know I can change my mind over time and condition myself to think more hopeful thoughts. So, those are the kind of things that I would like to encourage you to do, to start changing your thinking if you feel that you're sabotaging yourself and that you're not putting out the kind of thoughts that create the kind of feelings that you want to have. Okay? So, for right now, I would like for you to simply be aware that your thoughts are much more than just the words going around in your mind and the things that you're putting out there. It's also what you're exposing yourself to. Right now, I'm crazy about the Nutcracker Suite, and I have it on a lot of times. We just saw the setup at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, and I'm surrounding myself with a lot of ballet, and I love to watch those videos, and I'm catching myself constantly humming and singing parts of the Nutcracker Suite. And I'm actually laying in bed, or I'm doing some kind of task, and all of a sudden I'm hearing dum dum da dum da 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 da. I'm like, oh, it's in there. So it is what you're exposing yourself to. It's gonna find a way into your mind, and then it goes on repeat. And those are the kind of things to become aware of, because if you are exposing yourself to things that are not conducive to your happiness, then you might want to change what you're exposing yourself to. It is the thoughts that are going through your mind, the words that you're saying to yourself. It is the quality of the words that you're saying to yourself. It's the pictures that you're making, and it's how you hold your body. It is how you're breathing. It is how you're gesturing. It's how you're holding your face, your head, your shoulders, even your feet. If you have your feet turned inward, that means you're more internal and you're more centered on yourself, versus having your feet open, for example, having your hands, your palms up versus your hands down. I mean, there's so many little distinctions that you can get into. It gets really intricate actually when you start thinking about it and what your posture means about your way of engaging with the world around you. We talk about having your arms crossed, being a little bit more into standoffish mode and not so accepting about what other people think. You're closing yourself off. And there is some truth to that, that we can make some assumptions that if you're having a conversation with someone and then you're saying something controversial and all of a sudden the other person does that, there might be some meaning behind that. So pay attention to it. We're not going to say that it always means that someone is closed off because they have their arms crossed. Perhaps it's just comfortable for them right now because their lower back is hurting, or it's just a comfortable way for them to rest their arms. So find out what the patterns are, and if you see repetition If you see certain patterns happening at specific times or when certain subjects are being talked about, then you can start making a few assumptions and then you simply test it out. Or you can just ask, is there anything that I'm saying right now that seems uncomfortable to you? Or it's so interesting that you're crossing your arms every time that we're talking about this subject. If you feel that you have good rapport with the other person and you actually want to go after it. Most of the time, my advice is just pay attention to yourself and notice your own behaviors. Why am I constantly getting this neck pain whenever other people are starting to talk about certain subjects? Or why do I feel all of a sudden that I want to cross my arms when I'm being criticized? And then I'm like, oh, that's not me. Why would you say that? Interesting that I'm crossing my arms. Or why do I always scratch my head? Or why is my ear itching when certain subjects are being talked about? That's really exciting stuff to start asking yourself those kind of questions. So pay attention to your own behavior first before you become the expert at everybody else's behavior. And it's always more fun to just observe, notice the patterns, and then if you have really, really good rapport, and if there really is a reason for you to say, may I ask you a question? I've noticed that every time we talk about money, that all of a sudden you start crossing your arms. And it's just funny because I happened to notice it's like the fifth time that this has happened in the last 3 days. If there is a lot of rapport, it's a good relationship and you feel safe with the other person because you don't want to offend them, because then they become really self-conscious. What do you mean? I'm crossing my arms? No, I'm not. So be careful with that. And that's why my advice is, again, pay attention to yourself and your own, start looking at your own behavior and noticing what you're doing more than trying to figure out other people. Okay. So thoughts happen, pictures, sounds, words, and body posture. Okay. So now all those taken together create an emotion. When you say, I'm happy, I'm grateful, that's because you're making happy pictures. That's because you're saying happy things to yourself. That's because you're holding your body in a way that's conducive to happiness flowing through you and happy hormones, serotonin being released, versus hunching over, shoulders down, chin down, frowning my jaw. I used to clench my jaw so badly that I had TMJ, and my dentist told me I had to relax my jaw because I was grinding my teeth. And you know what? I haven't done that in years. It feels so weird now when I'm actually clenching my jaw. Or I used to clench my hands like this, that I actually would dig my fingernails into my palms. I haven't done that in years. Always relaxed, 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 relaxed. Notice your physiology. And then what are the kind of thoughts? Ugh, it's another day. Ugh, it's Monday. I'm not in the mood for it. I can't believe it's another week. Only 2 more weeks till Christmas. I'm totally stressed out. There's too much to do. There's too much overwhelm. I have too many parties to attend, blah, blah, blah. So really start paying attention to the quality of the words that are going through your mind, the quality of the pictures that you're making, and the quality of how you're holding your body. And then you will see the correlation, you will hear the correlation, and you will feel it in your body between what's going on in your mind and the emotion you're experiencing at that moment. Now we take all of that and we apply it to life. As you're thinking, and that's my promise to you as I wrote the description today, that we are going to apply it to your manifestations for 2024. What do you want to see in the new year? What do you want to hear? What do you want to experience in your body? How do you want to engage with life over these next 12 months? We're going into the last little bit, those last couple of weeks of 2023. We're going into the holidays, and then just looking a little bit beyond that. And it is also going to influence how you are going to experience the holidays. That you're going into this new year relaxed and hopeful and with gratitude, with a happy anticipation and excitement about what's to come and what to expect, dreams that you're having, goals that you're setting for yourself, relationships that you're building, health goals you would like to achieve, as well as financial health and well being, your career development, your legacy that you want to leave behind, your vocation. and then ultimately your lifestyle. How do you want to spend your time? That's my big question for you today. So let's use everything that I just taught you about thinking and really manifest that in your mind right now. And everything that you do create on the outside first is being created within. We create from the inside out. The way you think, the way you feel makes how you behave and act, which then creates the results. And everybody that you come in contact with and everything you're coming in contact with is being entrained into that energy that you're ultimately sending out. Your thoughts and your feelings are your intent. The two are coming together. You're saying, I want to take certain trips in 2024. I want to meet some certain people. I want to visit some family here and there. I want to create certain things in my relationships. I want to have certain financial goals I would like to meet. I have some dreams I would like to fulfill myself financially. There might be a purchase you want to make about a car, or you're actually in the market for a house, or there are certain items, some furniture that you would like to purchase, some lifestyle purchases that you would like to make that help you to live the lifestyle of your dreams, some art projects. Perhaps you would like to go to a certain city to visit some theater or a museum. There are certain things that you would like to experience. And when you think about all of that happening around you, I would like for you to just spread it all out like in a pie, like in a wheel, where there is this aspect of your health, and then there is the wealth, and then there are your relationships, and then there's your career and your lifestyle choices, and how it all flows together beautifully. And so it's not just about the financial gain that you want to have, or the career development that you want to have in 2024, or that wedding that you're totally crazy about that's going to happen in 2024, and then everything else blows up because you were so focused on that very one aspect of your life, or that you're stepping into mother or fatherhood, and then all of a sudden your health goes down the drain and you're totally exhausted. So it's about truly creating that manifestation on all levels. And that's what I would like for us to do together over this next bit of time that we have today, and simply dream together. Because that's what it all starts out with. Albert Einstein said it, imagination is everything. And the more research I do, the more it supports that saying. It is so brilliant that it all starts with that imagination that we have within, the things that you're seeing in your mind's eye, the things that you're saying to yourself about it, plus how you're holding your body while you're doing it, and even using your body, role playing the kind of things that you're doing. So, for example, this one little vision, and I'm sharing it openly here, that I keep having in my business is meeting certain people. And so I keep having that little visual of me shaking the hands with certain people, and we're chit chatting, we're having a nice engagement, there's laughter, there is a nice kinship between me and those other people. And then we are being invited to sit down and have dinner together, and there's a conversation. I'm currently creating some follow ups with clientele in other countries that I've visited before, and I haven't seen them in a while. So, those are the kind of things I'm imagining, the kind of meetings we're going to have, and how it looks with having the desk, or it might be at a dinner table that we're sitting down. I'm seeing us in beautiful environments. I'm seeing being picked up at airports. I'm seeing entering hotels. I'm seeing entering training spaces. I'm seeing my audience. And those are visualizations that I make up in my mind, because that's the kind of stuff I want to create for 2024, that I'm currently rehearsing in my mind by making these movies, by making these snapshots. And then I talk to myself about it. Oh, that would be so much fun. Oh, it's going to be so easy. Oh, we're going to have such a wonderful conversation. And I'm imagining myself answering questions that I'm being asked. And I'm imagining negotiations. I'm imagining giving presentations and that kind of stuff. And then I'm feeling it in my body. I'm taking on the body stance. I'm actually reaching my hand out and I'm shaking the hand. I'm giving hugs in my mind, and just imagine that. So you really want to make that experience rich and colorful and enticing and very, very vivacious and inviting. You want to embellish it and you want to really marinate in it and you want to be fully present in it. And the more you immerse, that's a good word, the more you immerse yourself in it, the more real it becomes. And your brain does not know the difference between something you imagine and something that's really happening. You've heard this before. It does not know the difference between something you're imagining and something you're making up, something that you are have experienced in the past, or something that you wish to experience in the future, or that you're actually experiencing right here, right now. Can you imagine that? How wild that is to step into your brain and have that kind of an experience that every time that you're telling that sad story from your past, your brain literally has to re experience it. Every time you tell this amazing story that happened in the past, your brain gets to re experience it. So the question is, do you really want to keep re experiencing the sad stuff and the stuff that drags you down and re traumatize yourself ultimately every time you do it? Huh, because when I was 15 years old, blah, 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 sad story, sad story. And look at me, even just how I frowned and how my voice tone immediately went to yeah, because that is what I'm doing then in that moment. I entrain myself into the same feeling states that I had when I was 15 years old and the sad story happened, and my brain has to relive it as if it were happening right now. That's what you have to understand. That's what athletes, top musicians, people who are the top in their fields know that. And that's why so much of the practice is built around that. There are some fantastic research projects where they took some athletes and they divided them up in different groups. One group, they had them actually perform the training, and I think it was in soccer that they did that experiment. And I think there was also some in football and basketball. I think basketball is the one that's really famous, where they had the people truly just experience the training and no visualization whatsoever. Then they had the mixed group between doing a lot of visualizations and immersing themselves in their mind in the training. And then they also had training. And then they also had people who didn't have any physical training and just did visualizations. And the people who visualized and did the training and the people who visualized only did much better than the people who actually did the training. So even just visualizing doing the training is more powerful than the people doing just the training without any visualizations. So that's the kind of stuff that I find deeply interesting. And how does this now apply into our business? How does this apply into your family life and the communication that you're able to have with your loved ones when you are rehearsing in your mind the conversation about the financial issues that you guys need to figure out as a family, or that next trip that you are planning together as a family, or how the holiday season can unfold, or that there is a surgery that you need to have, or that there is some special plan that you have that you need buy-in from your family. And just imagining rehearsing it going really well, and you're able to bring the point across in a loving, useful manner so that it's easy for the rest of the family to understand where you're coming from and then buy in to what you want, what you're proposing. We're all parents. We know how it works when we are enticing our children how wonderful it is to brush their teeth and that it makes sense to eat vegetables versus only ice cream, and that it makes sense to do their studies, right? We've all been there, that we had to sell to our children and to our loved ones the things that make sense, and where it's like, sorry, but that's just the way it is. So I know your mind is going right now. You're like, yeah, how does this apply to me? So let's look at those different areas and how does it apply to you? How do you talk to yourself about your health and well being, about aging gracefully, about imagining yourself 10, 20, 30 years from now, and how you are going to be as a 40, 50, perhaps 70, 80-year old? I do that all the time. That I'm sending information to my brain about what I'm imagining myself to be like when I'm 80 some years old. And I hang out with 80 some year olds, and they are super fabulous people who are top fit and they are living their life to the fullest, and they're poets and artists, and they meditate and they're doing all kinds of cool stuff. They travel all the time. A lot of them are rock climbers and they were river runners and they are fit and they are mentally fit. And I'm modeling these people all the time. I'm always saying, I want to be like you when I'm 85. And that's like 30 years from now. And then I look at myself with some of the health issues that I'm dealing with right now, and I'm going, well, you better get on it, girlfriend, because what is it going to be in 30 years when you're already doing this right now? Better take my turmeric, that kind of stuff. So you talk to yourself about your health and well being, where you're at mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. How do you talk to yourself about your health? How do you process your health in your pictures, in your words and sounds, as well in your body stance? Are you the person who walks around like this all the time? Getting older, it sucks to get older. Doesn't get any better when you get older. You're gonna need glasses. Meh, meh, meh. And I've had issues 10 years ago that by changing my diet and changing thought patterns and changing movement patterns have completely disappeared. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I used to have that pain. And it used to really slow me down. It used to bug me. It used to actually influence my quality of living. And now haven't dealt with it in years. For example, the insomnia. And that was a huge issue. And I brought it up all the time. And I felt so sorry for myself. And I always made sure that everybody knew about it. And I talked about it all the time. And that was my big issue. And now it's been gone for like 5 years. For 5 years, about I've had this complete change in my mind and how I've been able to sleep better. So let me give you hope for some of those things that you might be complaining about in your life, and especially if it's insomnia or some other chronic patterns that you're dealing with. And then do some research. Look at Bruce Lipton, look at epigenetics, and get some information, get some updates about how disease is created and how disease gets passed from generation to generation. Perhaps you're just buying into cultural beliefs and family beliefs and being a loyal child to your parents by saying, well, mom and dad had it, and their parents had it, and their parents had it, so I'm going to get it too. Our thinking is changing very dramatically right now about health and well being. So do some research, expose yourself to the facts, to the newest scientific research, to neurology, neuroscience, neuroplasticity. There is so much out there, and you can just immerse yourself in that wealth of information right now and see what's going on and how you can use that in your own life and what you choose to believe about your aging process and what it means to age for your body and what is possible. We talked about the blue zone. My Grayson's mother-in-law brought that up the other day. And that is a fantastic, fascinating research. I believe it's actually on Netflix right now. Yeah, so it's becoming mainstream. It's becoming mainstream consciousness for us now to realize that there are certain aspects that make it that we can live longer, healthier, productive lives. And what is it all about? It's about social contact and it's about purpose. The more purpose we have, the healthier we are as we age. So, just as a thought for you who might be afraid of aging or have some limiting beliefs around that. So, that's in the arena of health. And I would like for you to make a promise to yourself right now and make a declaration. 2024 is the best year ever. I'm going to take some strides that I couldn't even imagine before. I'm going to do something for my health that is so wild and so out there, and it's going to be the easiest thing I've ever done. Just say that to yourself right now, and then write it down. I have my declarations, and where's my book? There it is. It's my happy dream book that I'm currently creating, and I got the earths on there, and you see there's some flags and some fun stuff on there, and then got my books. Yeah, got a lot going on in that book right now. And I got sections. Some of them are more about goals for my business, others are more about health. And I always make sure that I visit all areas to have wholeness, to have holistic health. Health in my body, as well as mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Health in my finances, health in my relationships, health in my career, and then ultimately the kind of lifestyle I want to live, where I have plenty of time for myself, my loved ones, my business, and everything just flows together. So make a declaration to yourself right now, very specifically about the health aspect that you would like to achieve in 2024. And then take the time later on, perhaps watch this video again, share it with some friends and families, members, and then make your declaration and write it down. Writing things down has a tremendous power. You're making the universe your witness. You're committing yourself on a much higher level than just having a fleeting thought that then, oh yeah, I don't have to pay attention to that because I just said it to myself really quickly. So there's a lot of power in having witnesses, having accountability partners, and actually committing to yourself. All right. So now let's shift that into our financial health. What are the kind of financial goals that you have for 2024? The kind of savings you would like to create, the kind of investments you would like to create, the kind of expenses that you're looking at. Perhaps there is more income that you would like to create. This all, of course, also goes hand in hand with your career. Are there promotions that you're hoping for, that you're wishing for? Is there a job change, perhaps? How does this all flow into your financial health, into your abundance, into your wealth building? And make a declaration to yourself right now. 2024 is going to be the best year ever. Remember that I said a few times this year that I wrote in the beginning of 2023, the real adventure starts now. And it was just one of those fleeting thoughts. Oh, what is going to be my theme for the year? And then that voice said, the real adventure starts now. I'm like, the what? Oh my goodness, I've had such an incredibly adventurous life for 30 years of being an immigrant in America and the things I got to experience and the business I got to build, the family I have. And it's been such an incredible adventure. What do you mean the real adventure starts now? Well, little did I know the adventure I was embarking on. And yep, now that we're in the end of 2023, I can only say, oh my goodness, hold on to the right, girlfriend. Because yeah, the real adventure really just started now. And I am very proactively creating the next few decades right now. That's why the dream book. And now I'm looking very much forward to creating my next declaration for the next year. So, what is your declaration for the next year when you think about your financial happiness and health? And that there might be some strides that you want to make. Or if you're facing financial insecurity, that you're saying to yourself, and this next year is dedicated to creating financial security for myself and my loved ones. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Right on. And now let's change the wheel over to our relationships. And the way I like to declare it, all of my relationships are deeply fulfilling. That's my manifestation. That's my declaration. I've been saying that for a couple of years. All of my relationships are deeply fulfilling. And if I'm fancy, I say all of my personal and professional relationships are deeply fulfilling. And that's enough for me personally. That is a good vibe to send out into the universe, a good blanket, basic manifestation. All of my relations are deeply fulfilling. Nice. I like that very much. Makes me feel good. It gives me that ah, covers it all. And then let's shift that into our career aspect. If you're already retired, then think about your vocation, your calling. Just because you're not working anymore for money doesn't mean that you're just sitting there watching YouTube videos all day, unless that's what you're doing. And then you might actually think about, what else do I want to do? Remember what I said about longevity. People with purpose, people who still feel that they are serving, people who are still feeling that they have a measure of control in their lives. Those are the happiest people, the people with the highest life expectancy, and doing it healthily. That's what's important about it. So give that to yourself right now, that if you're already in an advanced age, that you still feel that you have purpose and that you're needed that you're part of a community and not just isolating and making the days go by, waiting till it's time for dinner and time to go to bed, time for my show, that kind of stuff. So think about how you want your vocation, your calling to live within you. And if you're still working for money, and if you're still working because you are working towards retirement, how can you turn that into your purpose? How can you turn it into a meaningful engagement so that you're looking forward to it every day, that you're excited when you get up and you get to go to work? That's the joy that I get every day when I look at my to do list and I see the things I'm doing. And some of those things I had to turn around in my mind because they were those tasks. There are things that I don't enjoy, like making the phone call why my email on my website doesn't work, or what's going on with the Amazon account, stuff like that. The technical stuff, anything that has to do with the computer. My computer was really slow earlier today, and I could feel that I was going into a downward spiral because my Zoom just wouldn't start up. And I was hacking around and touching buttons for about 5 minutes till I finally said, you know what? I'm done with this. And I grabbed my phone, I tried it on there, and then it worked. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm still dealing with. And there I have to motivate myself. And then that little voice that was going to go, oh, I'm just going to skip it. Or now I have to talk to Max about it or whatever. I'm like, no, come on, girlfriend. You can figure it out. You're smart. You got the know how. Come on, it's meant to be. Send in some love, send in some good juju. And then it started working again. So thank you, computer. I love you so much. So those are the kind of things where you have truly the power and the control in how you manage your thoughts about what's going on. Oh, come on, I can figure this out. I'm smart. Other people have done it. I can do it. Let's watch a video and see what they say. I do that a lot. When I run into some kind of an issue, I'm like, hey, let's just type it into Google, see what happens, see what answers are coming up. And I learned to do spreadsheets because I was invited by one of my clients that I needed to produce some spreadsheets for my project I was doing for them. And I was so resistant. I'm like, I don't do that. And she's like, you can just watch some tutorials and figure it out. I'm like, oh God, that's so embarrassing. Yeah, you're right. I can. I love my spreadsheets. And now it's a couple of years later. And I love my spreadsheets. And I couldn't even imagine doing it without. And it's the easiest thing to now create a spreadsheet because I changed my thinking about it. So I hope that also inspires you to change your thinking about some of the tasks that you don't like in your career or things that scare you. For a lot of people, it's public speaking. For a lot of people, it's standing up in front of other people, giving a presentation, or having to meet certain clients, or giving feedback. Ooh, that's so scary. And you can practice it. It's how you think about it, the pictures you're making. Visualize it going well. Visualize the other person receiving your feedback and going, thank you so much for caring about me, that you're saying this to me. Those kind of things. And then the whole thing ultimately culminates in your lifestyle. How do you spend your time? Do you take enough time for yourself? Do you take enough time for your health and well being? That you're meditating, that you're visualizing, that you're doing some kind of sports, that you're not just vegging in front of your videos or your TikTok when you are having time, that you are, for example, every time I take a shower, I turn it into a spa experience. Oh, I'm going into my spa. And then it's more than a shower. It's this, I'm nourishing myself. And this is so wonderful. I'm so grateful to the water. And thank you so much, beautiful universe, for giving me this warm water right now and being in this beautiful bathroom and having this beautiful experience. It's a totally nourishing spiritual experience for me. Just to take a shower where it's like, 5 minutes, wash, wash, wash. Get it done. Cherish the time you have with the things you're doing. Cherish the time with the people that you're with. Cherish the time for the art, expression of any kind that you're doing. Taking a course. I just signed up for an online course that I'm taking. I'm so eager for every video I get to watch, for every audio I get to listen to, for every meditation that I'm experiencing. And we went on a trip a couple of days ago. We just got back from a lovely trip around the Grand Canyon, and I made it a point to not immerse myself in my studies. And I made a very clear distinction. Right now, it's about Sean and the grandkids. It's about being fully present with the family where we're at, totally enjoying the nature where we're at, totally enjoying every experience, eating the food that we wanted to eat, and having all the experiences that we wanted to have, and totally enjoying the heck out of it. And then when I come home, I'm going to immerse myself in the studies again. And that's exactly what I did. So I didn't feel guilty on the trip for not answering messages and doing my posts and also answering emails or following up on logistical pieces. I immersed myself fully in being with the family right then and now. And then today was a work day. So that is something that I wasn't able to do years ago. There was always the guilt. There was always that little voice that would say, yeah, 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 but you should be doing XYZ. And then I would be doing XYZ. And then I would be feeling guilty for not having enough time for the family. And I would just brain mess with myself in that time. And that's what I've been able to let go of. And to give myself that little thought that says, right now it's time to be fully present with the grandkids. And we're playing right now. And that's what we're doing. The other stuff can wait, and you're going to take care of it in 2 days. Don't worry about it. And then, now that I'm working again, it's like, hey, it's my productive time. Yeah, it's Monday. So exciting that I get to do this again. Hey, it's my free seminar today. So excited that I get to go home and do this now. And that's what gives me that lifestyle of enjoyment, that I'm present with what I'm doing and I'm happy with what I'm doing at that very moment. So let me give this as a gift to you during this holiday season, that you allow yourself to be present with what you're doing at that very moment, and don't beat yourself up with the grass is greener kind of thoughts. I should be doing XYZ kind of thoughts, and any kind of guilt and negative expectations that you're putting on yourself because you're not allowing yourself to be present. Right now, I'm doing this and I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. And then when I'm doing the next thing, I'm going to be fully present with that. That's why time blocking is such a powerful tool. And when I look at my calendar, that's exactly what I'm doing. This is how much time I'm going to spend on this project. This is how much time I'm going to spend on that project. Then I'm going to do some crafts. Then I'm going to meditate. Then it's playtime. And it makes life so much more fun and so much easier. And then it brings balance to the whole. I think this is a pretty deep topic, so I'm going to dive into that some more next week. I have a lot more to say right now, and I can tell our time is up for right now. And therefore, I'm going to put some more thought into it. And also, any kind of questions that you have in the meantime, send them to me, put them in the comments. I'd love to see them. And thank you so much, you guys, for joining. I love seeing who checks in. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate how many people are tuning in nowadays. Thank you for being part of this community. I am so grateful that this is the path that I get to walk on and that I get to share this with you. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and make sure that you also join my upcoming seminars, and please share it with your friends and family, the people who can benefit from learning more about the law of attraction, from learning more about quantum NLP, how to manage their thoughts, because that is ultimately what I wanted to share with you all. How we can change our thought patterns, especially the ones that are limiting us, that are negative, that are dragging us down, that are not giving us the emotional experience that we want to have. And yes, we can change them. And that's exactly what I'm here to teach you. So please share the goodness. And thank you so much for your love and support. And I'm going to see you soon again. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Be well.